Now that we have this nifty thing that we can do with like fractions, well, wouldn't it be nice if there was a way that with any fractions we started out with, we could get like fractions if we wanted to? Yeah, good news, we can do that. Starting with any two fractions, we can rewrite them as equivalents with the same denominator. Right, we don't want just any old fractions with the same denominator. That's easy but not very useful. We want fractions equivalent to the two that we started out with that have the same denominator. Let's see an example of how we might do this. Let's say we want to rewrite the fractions 7/12 and 8/15 with a common denominator. Well, okay, we know how to write equivalent fractions, right? We want to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same thing. We aren't ready to decide what the number in the green box is going to be yet, but we know that it's going to have to be the same thing in the numerator and the denominator. When we do that, we're going to get a new way of writing the same number. We're going to get an equivalent of 7/12 that has a denominator that's different from 12. Similarly, starting with our 8/15, we're going to multiply its numerator and denominator by the same thing also. And again, we don't know what that number is going to be, but we know it needs to be the same number in the numerator and denominator. Maybe a different number than we multiplied by in the first fraction. And again, we're going to get a new fraction with a different denominator that's equivalent to 8/15. Now our goal in this exercise is that these denominators in the red boxes should be the same as each other. So we're going to need to be able to say 12 times the number in green is the number in red, and at the same time 15 times the number in blue is the number in red. Alright, numbers like the one in red. We have a word for numbers that are 12 times something. That's a multiple of 12. A number that's 15 times something, that's a multiple of 15. The number in red has to be a multiple of 12 and 15 at the same time. We call a number like that a common or shared multiple of 12 and 15. Now, partially because we like small numbers for doing arithmetic, and partially because this is a technique that we're going to need in the future, we don't want to choose just any old common multiple. We want to choose the least common multiple of 12 and 15. There are several ways we could find the least common multiple, but the technique I'm about to show you is the one that we're going to use later on when we work with more complicated objects. To find the least common multiple, or just LCM, of 12 and 15, first we're going to factor each number into primes. So 12, that's 4 times 3, 4 is 2 times 2, the 2's are prime, the 3 is prime. 15, that's 3 times 5, 3 is prime, 5 is prime. Okay, we're done with that step. Now what? Now we're going to use the prime factors that we just found to come up with the smallest number that has all the prime factors of 12 and at the same time has all the prime factors of 15. Not enough to make both at the same time, just enough to make either one. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to write down LCM. so I remember what I'm doing. And now, to make a 12, I need 2 2s and a 3. Okay, so now I'm done with 12. Now I turn my attention to 15. To make a 15, I need a 3, but I already have a 3, so I don't need to put anything extra in. To make a 15, I also need a 5. I don't have a 5 yet, so I need to put a 5 in. And that's it, I'm done. I have all the prime factors I need to make a 12. 2 2s and a 3. I have all the prime factors I need to make a 15, a 3 and a 5. I don't need to have the prime factors to make both at once. I don't need to repeat the 3. What does this give me? You can use a calculator to do this multiplication if you'd like, or do it in your head if it's easy enough. I believe this works out to 60. Right. So 60, right, is 12 times 5, or 4 times 15. So 60 is a multiple of 12 and also a multiple of 15. Alright, let's carry that back to our original problem. Right. Our least common multiple is going to be 60. And to get 60, we need to take 12 times 5. We need to take 15 times 4. And now, going all the way back to the fractions, we'll fill in 60 as our common denominator. We needed to multiply 12 by 5, so we need to also multiply 7 by 5. 7 times 5 is 35. We needed to multiply 15 by 4, so we need to also multiply 8 by 4. 8 times 4 is 32. 7 twelfths is equivalent to 35 sixtieths. 8 fifteenths is equivalent to 32 sixtieths. We've now rewritten these with a common denominator. Now, this method of finding the least common multiple is a good and useful method, and one that you should practice, because we're going to use the same technique in the future when we do this same arithmetic with algebraic fractions. However, once you feel you've practiced this enough, or to check your work, you can use the TI calculator to find the least common multiple. So just looking over the keypad on the calculator, we don't find an LCM button. It's not quite that easy. To find the LCM, we need to go into the menus. Now there are a lot of menus on this calculator. The one we're going to be focusing on the most is the Math menu. You access this by pressing the Math button. Notice along the top, the Math menu is actually 4 different menus. Math, Num, CPX, whatever that is, and PRB, whatever that is. Today we're going to look at the Num for numeric menu. Notice it's got all sorts of cool stuff. ABS, that's the absolute value. Round, that rounds. Today we're looking for LCM. We scroll down until we find it, and we see that LCM is number 8. When number 8 is selected, we can just hit enter, or if we remember that LCM is number 8, we can just press the number 8. Okay, So now we have the LCM command active. Now we want to enter the two numbers whose least common multiple we want to find. We want to find the least common multiple of 12 and 15. Notice the symbol we put between the 12 and the 15 was a comma. The comma key is directly above the 7. So we say 12, comma 15, close parentheses, enter. And in this case we see that we got the same result that we did by hand, although a lot more quickly. Let's do a quick example where we write two fractions with a common denominator, using the calculator to help us find what our common denominator ought to be. In this example, we're going to write 11/18 and 20/21 with a common denominator. We're going to start out the same way that we did before, right? We're going to want to multiply each numerator and denominator by the same thing. So in order to write these with a common denominator, we first have to work out what that common denominator is going to be. And it needs to be the least common multiple of 18 and 21. So let's go to the calculator, math, over 1 to get num, scroll down until we find LCM. We want the LCM of 18 and 21. Oh, we see that that's going to be 126. Let's go ahead and fill that in for our common denominator. The next thing we need to work out is, what did we have to multiply 18 by to get 126? Well, that looks like a job for division. 126 divided by 18 is 7. We had to multiply 18 by 7. 126 divided by 21 is 6. We had to multiply 21 by 6. Okay. Now, in the first fraction we multiplied the denominator by 7, so we have to multiply the numerator by 7. 11 times 7 is pretty easy. You can use the calculator for this if you'd like, but it's 77. In the second fraction we multiplied the denominator by 6. We're going to need to also multiply the numerator by 6. 20 times 6, again pretty easy. You can use the calculator if you'd like, but it's 120. The equivalents to our two fractions are 11/18 is equivalent to 77 126ths. 20/21 is equivalent to 120 126ths. As you can see, using the calculator to shortcut finding the least common multiple of the denominators makes this process a little bit faster.